Hello, everybody. I am Reginald Bullock, and we're here with Trey, and this is Just Living Life. I hope you've been watching us and looking at some of the other episodes and learning. We have fun doing it, so we're glad that you're here joining us, and we're about to do it again. What's up, Trey?
What's up, Reggie? How's everything with you, man?
All's good in the hood, man.
Hey, I understand that. As always, well, actually, I was about to lie. It's not always good, but at least end of the day, though, I try to at least sleep peacefully, knowing that the day's going at least somewhat productive. There's always a nice little journey, always some progression forward. So, I mean,
The hobby. So why did you say we want to talk about
well, because I've actually, so long story short, how this came up was I've been talking with my aunt about people changing, right?
hobby? Okay.
And so I started to say, my belief is I don't believe people change. I think we adapt. And I think you can say, yeah, well, change is a form of adaptation or adaptation, or adaptation is a form of change, however you want to classify, or however you want to structure that sentence. I don't think change is based on society. I think change is based on internal. So as a result, that's why I say people don't change. However,
You think change is based on internal,
yeah,
but people don't change. You just kind of contradict yourself, right?
when you say that, because I mean, like external, like society makes people. I feel like people change because of society, but I think that's more so adaptation,
Some
survival.
people. Some
And
people change because of society.
well,
Other people change because of growth and evolution and that's part of their journey.
so, when do you think you should allow people to? Because I think there is a grace period between changing and learning. So, like early on, I think you're learning, so you're not necessarily changing.
You're always learning.
Yeah, so I think there's a difference though between you like a kid versus when you're an adult. You're always learning,
Okay.
yes, but like there is a
So I'm curious to see where you're going with this because you sound like you want to make a point
yeah. So I
why that change is not necessarily change, but it's adaptation.
because when you're changing, quote unquote, but I say when I say quote unquote, that's my adaptation.
Okay.
You're really basing that off society. You want to have a easier life. You don't want to go against this. You don't want to go against the grain. You want to go against this. You don't want. You want to stay. I guess in. You don't want to be in the limelight. So if you feel a certain way, society feels differently. Well, nowadays, oh, anything can happen. Social media, you can get outed real quick. A lot of people can put you on blast. You might be viewed as a weirdo, whatever the case may be. Now, you're not thinking for yourself. You're not changing because you really feel this way. You're changing because of how society might view something. Like,
And that's the cultural perspective,
mm,
right?
yeah,
Because all change is not cultural. Suppose when you were younger, you did a lot of things that you now wish you didn't do.
when you say younger, what age are you talking about?
In high school.
Kind of say that's still like a kiddish. Do you agree or no? Because I do give like a little leniency to
You're a
kids.
kid now?
No, no,
That's
I
my
won't say
point. Now versus high school.
that. Okay, okay.
Yeah. So in high school, you may have done some things
Mm,
and hurt people, right? Deliberately,
mm,
because you didn't know better, or to your point, it was a cultural norm, or it was the way you were raised,
mm,
or you just didn't like somebody, and your level of maturity caused you to just be that person,
mm.
or level of immaturity, lack of maturity, caused you to just be that kind of person, right? There's a lot of people that do stupid stuff because they just don't know better,
Right,
right? And they haven't learned yet
that's fair.
the
Yeah.
differences between what they did and what they should have done. And now, hindsight 2020 in your 30s,
Mm,
like, ooh, I should have done that. Yeah, I
yeah.
really hurt that. I need to go call that person up and apologize for the Reggie back when he was 14, 15 years old, telling this girl that pink doesn't look good on her.
Mm,
And then for the rest of her life, she didn't wear pink. And then one day I saw her at a high school reunion. She said, "Do you realize I'd never worn pink because of something you said back in high school?" And I apologized to her.
mm.
And then I felt compelled to go out and buy a pink blouse, and mail it to her. And so my point is, I changed.
But I guess so. I guess when I'm saying that, I know in high school, again, like you're a kid, so I feel like you are going to change because you don't necessarily think for yourself. At least I'm speaking for myself personally. I know I would regurgitate maybe something my parents said or whatever the case may
Yeah,
be.
you know what you've been trained to know.
Right.
Right.
And then even still, like when I said those things, I kind of like in the back of my head, I'm like, it don't really feel right, but it's still going with what I've been taught and stuff like that. And eventually, I guess came to the conclusion, no, I don't want to carry on that way. That's not how I want to portray myself.
And
But
how
I
did you
don't think
come to that conclusion?
because it was again something that I felt I kind of got to meet other people who I guess I got more experience in the world,
Hmm.
but I was able to come to my own conclusion. That's why I say I didn't change. I think as I got older, like once you kind of come to your own conclusions, I think that's what I mean by like you're not changing. That you
So
kind of
what are you doing if you?
initially you're growing,
Okay.
like yeah, but then after that, once you're gonna hit that point where you can think for yourself, which
Right.
I don't think
Right.
that's exactly at 17, 18 years old. Like oh, like 18, 19, I think that's where you
Usually
start to
around
think.
25, 27.
And that's why I say 18, 19, you start to think.
Right.
Like,
Right.
so that's why I say I give a little leeway into that. But 20, 21, that's when I say people don't officially you don't change anymore. Like that's kind of who you are. And you kind of just adapt to society. Because it is it is
But
tough.
that's also kind of doing it without defining what change is.
We talked about hobbies. We talked about hobbies. I think that kind of also brought us into how are we living too, because
Hmm.
it told us about what we like to do.
Hmm.
Then let's see here. We talked about power, but before we talked about that, well, I mean, what else?
Change.
I don't know about that. You sure we changed? We talked about change.
Yeah, you talked
You
a
know we
lot.
should talk about change.
He talked about change.
Maybe that was maybe I'm forgetting. My bad. I'm getting old nowadays, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. No, we talked about but yeah, so now we talked about change and then we ended off with power. I think that was a good little segment though.
Yeah.
And again, if y'all haven't been watching, you know, all these episodes do kind of build on top of one another because we talked about building and expanding foundation.
Mhm.
We didn't talk about intelligence and hustle. Oh, we talked about hustle, not intelligence.
But we talked about intelligence and hustle in a different.
Oh yeah, I just meant on this episode. We didn't
Okay.
but like everything builds and expands upon one another. We're not talking about all the episodes,
Right.
but we will reference other ones. So I
Yes.
hope y'all are enjoying that. Even Reggie said something about cutting grass, and you saw my reaction is still
Yard work. Yard work. You're gonna do you one day you're gonna change. You're gonna move your
I'm
arm.
gonna adapt. I'm gonna adapt, dog. There's one change. I promise there's one thing I would keep from youth to adulthood is I don't like yard work.
All right. I hear you.
I don't. But I mean,
There's always tomorrow.
not do yard work. But I think that's the perfect time though to end the segment. We can skip flowers today because you were talking about yard work too much. That's too close to yard work. I don't like flowers enough that much. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a good one. But please, before you do that, hit that like button, subscribe. You know, tell anybody who's anyone about the show. If you want to leave a comment or two, we appreciate that. My name is Reggie. My name is Trey. This is Reggie, and you listen to Just Living Life. So, I hope you all have a good one. Take care.
All right.